Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I am your faithful Raven, and today we will be reading Night Falls on Sentinel by Bowali. No music played in the nameless tavern in Sentinel, and indeed there was very little sound except for discreet, cautious murmurs of conversation, the soft pad of the barmaid's feet on stone, and the delicate slurping of the regular patrons, tongues lapping at their flagons, eyes focused on nothing at all. If anyone were less otherwise occupied, the sight of the young Redguard woman in a fine black velvet cape might have aroused surprise, even suspicion. As it were, the strange figure, out of place in an underground cellar so modest it had no sign, blended into the shadows. "Are you Yomik?" The stout, middle-aged man, with a face older than his years, looked up and nodded. He returned to his drink. The young woman took the seat next to him. "My name is Habala," she said, and pulled out a small bag of gold, placing it next to his mug. "Sure it be," snarled Yomik, and met her eyes again. "Who'd you want dead?" She did not turn away, but merely asked, "Is it safe to talk here?" "Nobody cares about nobody else's problems but their own here. You could take off your curious and dance bare-breasted on the table and no one would even spit." The man smiled. "So, who'd you want dead?" "No one, actually," said Habala. "The truth is, I only want someone removed for a while. Not harmed, you understand, and that's why I need a professional. You come highly recommended." "Who you been talking to?" asked Yomik, dully, returning to his drink. "A friend of a friend of a friend of a friend." "One of them friends don't know what he's talking about," grumbled the man. "I don't do that anymore." Habala quietly took out another purse of gold, and then another, placing them at the man's elbow. He looked at her for a moment, and then poured the gold out and began counting. As he did, he asked, "Who'd you want removed?" "Just a moment," smiled Habala, shaking her head. "Before we talk details, I want to know that you're a professional, and you won't harm this person very much, and that you'll be discreet." "You want discreet?" The man paused in his counting. "All right. I'll tell you about no job of mine. It's been, by arcay, I could hardly believe it, more than 20 years, and no one but me's alive who'd had anything to do with the job. This is back before the time of the war with Bethany. Remember that?" "I was just a baby." "Course you was," Yomik smiled. "Everyone who knows King Lawton had an older brother, Greclith, what died, right? And then he's got his older sister, Abki, what married that king fella in Daggerfall. But the truth's that he had 2 elder brothers." "Really?" Habala's eyes gleamed with interest. "No lie," he chuckled. "Weedy, feeble fella called Arthago, the king and queen's firstborn. Anyhow, this prince was heir to the throne, which his parents wasn't too thrilled about. But then the queen, she squeezed out 2 more princes who looked a lot more fit. That's when me and my boys got hired on to make it look like the first prince got took off by the under-king or some such story." "I had no idea," the young woman whispered. "Course you didn't. That's the point." Yomik shook his head. "Discretion, like you said. We bagged the boy, dropped him off deep in an old ruin, and that was that. No fuss. Just a couple of fellas, a bag, and a club." "That's what I'm interested in," said Habala. "Technique. My friend who needs to be taken away is weak, also, like this prince. What is the club for?" "It's a tool. So many things what was better in the past ain't around no more, just 'cause people today prefer ease of use to what works, right? Let me explain. There's 71 prime pain centers in an average fella's body. Elves and Khajiit, being so sensitive and all, got 3 and 4 more respectively. Argonians and Slodes almost as many at 52 and 67. Yomik used his short, stubby finger to point out each region on Habala's body. 6 in your forehead, 2 in your brow, 2 on your nose, 7 in your throat, 10 in your chest, 9 in your abdomen, 3 on each arm, 12 in your groin, 4 in your favored leg, and 5 in the other." "That's 63, replied Habala. "No, it's not," growled Yomek. "Yes, it is," the young lady cried back, indignant that her mathematical skills were being in question. 6 plus 2 plus 2 plus 7 plus 10 plus 9 plus 3 for one arm and 3 for the other, plus 12 plus 4 plus 5, 63. "I must have left some out," shrugged Yomek. "The important thing is that to become skilled with a staff or club, you gotta be a master of these pain centers. Done right, a light tap could kill or knock out with so much as a bruise." "Fascinating," smiled Habala. "And no one ever found out?" "Why would they? The boy's parents, the king and queen, they're both dead now. The other children always thought their brother got carried off by the underking. That's what everyone thinks. And all my partners are dead." "Of natural causes?" "Ain't nothing natural that ever happens in the bay. You know that. One fella got sucked up by one of them Selenu. Another died of that same plague that took Queen and Prince Grecliffe. Another fella got himself beat up to death by a burglar. You gotta keep low, out of sight, like me, if you want to stay alive." Yomek finished counting the coins. "You must want this fella out of the way bad. Who is it?" "It's better if I show you," said Habala. Standing up, without looking back, she strode out of the nameless tavern. Yomek drained his bear and went out. The night was cool, with an unrestrained wind surging off the waters of Lilac Bay, sending leaves flying like whirling shards. Habala stepped out of the alleyway next to the tavern and gestured to him. As he approached her, the breeze blew open her cape, revealing the armor beneath and the crest of the King of Sentinel. The fat man stepped back to flee, but she was too fast. In a blur, he found himself in the alley on his back, the woman's knee pressed firmly against his throat. "The king has spent years since he took the throne looking for you and your collaborators, Yomek. His instructions to me what to do when I found you were not specific, but you've given me an idea." From her belt, Habala removed a small, sturdy cudgel. A drunk stumbling out of the bar heard a whimpered moan, accompanied by a soft whisper coming from the darkness of the alley. "Let's keep better count this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This story is a story which originally comes, obviously, from Hammerfell. The story is set in Hammerfell, which, of course, we know is the home province of the Redguard people, one can assume. It is written near the end of the Third Era because we know that the king and queen in question in this story ruled during the Third Era. Interestingly enough, the story is written like a narrative as opposed to a biographical or historical account. We know that the story is factual and that all the information in this story is accurate. We even know that the Pain Center information is accurate because this book in Skyrim appears as a skill book, increasing one's one-handed skill. We can see that because it is a very valuable book indeed at 50 gold pieces. The unnamed king and queen in the story, through my research, I have confirmed them to be King Cameron and Akorithi of Sentinel. We actually get to experience the events recounted by Yomek in The Elder Scrolls III Daggerfall in the quest The Missing Prince. To me, the story is slightly bittersweet. On one hand, we see a crime avenged, and we can even assume that Arthagos' brother, the king Lawton, found out about his dead brother and righted his parents' wrong. But one can also argue that Yomek was simply following orders, doing what he was paid to do for king and country. there's a very brief but significant mention in the story of the Underking. The Underking is one of these mythic figures who just keeps popping up in Elder Scrolls lore. Here, it is said that the people believe that the Underking took the young prince. So perhaps in the years of his absence, the Underking has become a sort of boogeyman figure in Tamriel. I say this because the Underking we know stopped operating or was lost from Tamrielic history early in the Third Era. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you would like to leave a like, go ahead. I don't really care.